Hello, everybody. This is Jason Heel. We're here with Level Head Trading, giving you updates here on Tesla and going to talk about the daily charts and the weekly charts. Pretty much, maybe I'll look at the monthly in this video. We'll just see how it goes. But again, my apologies for making my videos a little bit too long and explaining things over and over again. I'm trying to consolidate what I say and get to the point and hope that you follow things in a little quicker time frame. But anyway, a little bit about me. I'm somebody who's been trading now for 5 years. I would say in the last year and a half is when things really started to click, and I was able to consistently be able to make good decisions in my trading. So that's a little bit about me, and I really enjoy talking about it. That's why I'm kind of long-winded. So anyway, let's just jump right into it. Here's the daily chart where we stand on Tesla. So if you look at the last, basically the last 4 to 5 days, you can see basically we're just trading sideways. Every time we try to push up, we reject and do not make a higher price relative to the last time that you tried to make a move to the upside. So really the last two times was on this particular day, you reached up to 223.49. Then you had a pretty big pullback. And then Monday, we got up to 217. So that's the most recent high that you were able to reach, which is a lower high than that one. And then you had a daily inside bar here, which was yesterday, and you tried to poke up again. You got up to 215.65, which is a lower high relative to that one. And then today we had further push to the downside. And so now we're at 207.83. So 207.83. And here's that last little piece here that I was talking about, where the low is 205.69. And the low that we got today was 206.77. And on this particular day, we got down to 206.27. But the big thing I forgot about, I don't know how I forgot about this, but I realized that after I made the previous video, was earnings. So after the market closed today, they reported their earnings and they missed on both lines that they talk about, the top and the bottom line, whatever the heck that means. I don't really even follow that because I'm a true technical analyst and I just follow price action. So whatever the news is, it'll reflect in the price. If it's positive news, you'll see the most likely you'll see it pop up, and then I base decisions on the price levels. What was the previous low, what was the previous high, what held, what hasn't held. So anyway, after the reportings today, there was a pretty negative reaction because they missed, and from as far as I could see, it got down to about 197, 195, I think. So now that goes all the way to this area right here. So we skipped right through that. This is after hours I'm talking about, not during the regular day. So we already blew through that, and over the after hours trading, it was down right in this area. So this is really the last line to hold before we, potentially have another 10, 15% downside if we don't hold this area, in my opinion. Everything I say here is just my opinion. It's just what knowledge I've gotten over the years, what to look for. And so you look for areas where there was established support, but this is not really, you cannot say this area is an area of established support because it was very brief. This was very brief. So it is more than likely that you will not hold this area. So overnight tomorrow, we will probably open somewhere down around 200 and anywhere from say 204, 205 down to maybe 195. We should open somewhere in that area, which is going to be below this and somewhere down in this area, getting very close to the lines here that I drew on the weekly chart. I base these lines that I drew on the weekly chart. So we are at 27 on the RSI. And tomorrow, when we open, if it does in fact open where it went down to in the after hours today, then this RSI will get down to the lower 20s, 24, 23, somewhere maybe around that area. And I'm going to anticipate that, there might be some buying, it might try to push it back up to this level where we just came out of. But to me, that would be best case scenario, that you get back to this price maybe at some point tomorrow. But then I believe that would be the next area that you're going to have to try to get back over, because I don't think it'll go much better than that. So in the bigger picture, jumping over to the weekly chart, let's look at it. So here's how the weekly chart looks. What I did is I actually adjusted this line with a slightly lower slant to line up with this one. I thought that would be a little more prudent because it was a little bit crooked. So it was kind of up maybe around this area where I have my cursor, but then that wouldn't be a straight parallel line, an ascending parallel line on the weekly chart. So anyway, so we're on the weekly chart. The daily is obviously getting quite oversold into the 20s. So another thing that I do is when a particular time frame is getting smashed, and so I believe Tesla in the daily time frame is going to be getting smashed. It's going to be getting down into the low 20s. So then what I do is I say, okay, then the next biggest time frame is a weekly time frame. You have an hourly time frame, which I showed in my last video, a micro version of what's happening on the daily chart, rejecting from the hourly lower highs to the lower lows, the hourly lower highs and hourly lower lows, which makes the price on the daily slowly, gradually get lower and lower. So anyway, when I get extremely oversold on one time frame, then I zoom out to the next bigger time frame, which in this case is the weekly chart, and I say, okay, are we oversold on the weekly chart? No, we're not oversold on the weekly chart. So to me, that lines up with everything else that I've been saying. Number one, very little support at this level here, which was 194.07. So we're going to test that tomorrow, I think, tomorrow or on Friday, 194.07. At that point, the weekly RSI, well, currently weekly RSI is at 41, and the average is still up at 49. So we're not oversold on the weekly chart. So that's the next time frame that I go to and say, okay, if getting oversold at a 30, a little bit under 30 on the daily doesn't create a higher low, or finally find the bottom, I should say, then if we're not going to find a bottom getting to oversold on the daily chart, then we're probably not going to find a bottom until we get oversold on the weekly chart. So on the weekly chart, to me, that will line up with Tesla dropping down below 194. So forget about the 200 level. That's already going to be broken tomorrow, most likely. And we're going to probably not hold that support, that little piece of support at 194. And so then there's a big gap between the 194 and this level right here at 152. So I believe we're going to get oversold. We need to get oversold on the weekly chart to find some sort of a temporary bottom, maybe. And that's going to bring us down, most likely, the next level, probably around 175, somewhere in that area. Because then the weekly will be oversold for the first time. Generally when something gets oversold for the first time in a very long time, then usually there's going to be some kind of a reaction. But the other thing is just looking historically, I couldn't believe what I saw. So when I went back to previous times on the weekly chart when Tesla was just going crazy. Look at the RSI level right here. Tesla got up to $414. So, I was incorrect. I was saying before that, did I say Bitcoin? Tesla got up to $414.50. For some reason, I was thinking it was right around 400. Because remember, I was saying from $100. No, I'm sorry. I probably didn't go back that far. But anyway, $414 was its all-time high. And the weekly RSI was at 86. 86. So remember what I said about RSI levels. At some point in time, if you're in the 80s, on whatever time frame you're looking at, if you get way up into the 80s, then for sure you should be getting down into the 20s at some point in time. But since we're talking about weeks, that's going to take a long time. But we're getting there now, right? A lot of time has passed because this is back in November of 2021. 2021. So if that's the case, that we're going to get down into the 20s, below 30, then Tesla's going to have to get down to about 175 and possibly test this level right here, which is pretty important, 152. And another thing is even when you find the bottom, I think it's pretty obvious. It will take a long time to recover from such a steep, drop because you have a lot of negative things going on here. The other thing is electric vehicle demand overall, I guess, has been weakening. People are more attracted to the cost of hybrid cars. They're cheaper overall, and you still have the use of using gas. So even though everybody, talks about pushing towards electric, right? Cost is a factor, and then just finding a charging station, right? A lot of people, when you're making big long trips, people are still not wanting to have to search where is there going to be a charging station along the way. Whereas with gas vehicles, you can find something at almost every single exit. But anyway, forget about that. That's where we stand. And so what's going to happen is if this does play out like that, then you're going to have all these resistances. My last point I wanted to make. Yeah, I'll make this my last point, and that'll be the end. We can get into things again that I want to talk about in the next video. But yeah, 175, and then you this is really important right here, this 152. So on the monthly chart, let me see, do I have a monthly chart here? I think I do. All right, so here's the monthly picture. So if you remember, what I was saying is you had the low of 101.81, and then you made a monthly bull flag, and then you got to this high. So do you confirm a monthly uptrend? This is a bull flag, and this is just basically straight up. So if you're going to confirm the monthly higher low, then this would have to be the higher low because that's the most recent area that you then pulled up from. But notice on this particular month, which is the month of, should be December. Let me make sure here. Is that December? Should be. Okay, so the month of December, the high of December was 265.13. And the high of October was 268.94. So you made a lower high. So you never confirmed a monthly uptrend because this is just a bull flag straight, and then at some point you pull back and then you make a higher high. So this was the farthest point that you pulled back on. And if you exceed, this is what I've been taught, if you exceed the highs of this month, then this becomes the monthly high or low. But the high of this month again, was 268.94. And the best that you did was in December, you got up to 265. So you fell short by a couple of dollars. You got close, but you did not make a monthly higher. Didn't have to be a higher high, but you need to break over the high of the previous low, and you did not do that. And so now this month of December was completely wiped out. So that's definitely the lower monthly high, that one there, which is 265.13, because you completely erased it. So you see, if you see what I'm saying, let's just put these 2 months together. If you exceed the top of that month and the top of this, let's just say they were together, if it went over the top and more importantly closed above the high of this month, then you would say this is the monthly higher low that needs to hold. But you never did go over the top of that month. So you didn't make this the monthly higher low because you didn't get over the top of it. But you definitely made this the monthly lower high relative to these months. And then you broke completely below it. And more importantly, you closed below this month. So that's the monthly lower high. And because we didn't make a monthly higher low, we're going to break below this. Like I said, we're most likely going to break below this. This is 194. So we're going to be there tomorrow or the next few days, in my opinion. And so then the next area of support that you did break over was this one. You see my point? So you went up. There's your higher low on the monthly time frame because you completely surpassed it. And you did it on the very next month. You went up to 204.48, and the high of that one was 202.69. So basically, almost the same as this, where this didn't get over by a couple of dollars. This one got over by a couple of dollars, and it held above it and finished above it. And then you continued on this particular month. So this is a very important level, 152.37. So to me, this is the area we're going to get into. We're going to get down into here between this 152 and below the 194. And using a 61.8% retracement, which I talked about, because a 50% retracement, which we've already done, basically, is not a level that generally is conclusive. And because there's a lot of downside, I concurred that we are going to retrace at least 61.8% approximately. And that brings me into that target range of $175 initially. So as we get to that area, which I think we will, then it's going to be very interesting to see how those daily candles then start to appear. Do we then finally present a low candle on the daily chart and then have a big push higher? It has to be big enough to not be a bear flag. And then at some point we pull back, but we pull back above whatever that low was. And then we have to go to a higher price. Then that will be the new monthly higher low, potentially, maybe the weekly higher low, maybe the daily trend change. So that's what we're looking for. That's what I'm looking for. So anyway, if you like what you see, please subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you soon. I'll probably make a video tomorrow. Have a good night.